For more analysis, we are joined now from Beirut by Fadi Alama, a member of the Lebanese parliament, and from the occupied Jerusalem, we are joined by Dimitri Diliani, a member of the Revolutionary Council of the Fatah movement and an expert in Israeli affairs. Welcome, both of you. Now, let me start from Beirut. Mr. Fadi, what does the current ceasefire deal signify?
Well, it signifies what Lebanon has always wanted to achieve is a peaceful southern Lebanon, free from occupation. As you well know, we have more than 13 disputed border lines preventing Lebanon from getting back its sovereignty, meaning going back to the border that was registered in the UN in 1949. So this is the 1701 is a roadmap towards achieving that goal in maintaining the peace and quiet in that region, plus having our sovereignty back.
Do you think they would actually implement 1701 given the current status and the current circumstances?
We've had 1701 since 2006. However, it was not implemented, I would say, from both sides. So we've seen so many violations from the Israeli side. They're all registered in UN by air and by sea. They accounted for more than 30,000 plus in the last 18 years. And so what we need to see is really a fully implemented 1701, and the type of negotiations that ended up with reinforcing Lebanon's position on full implementation of 1701. It's going to give 1701 an opportunity by strengthening the implementation decrees. So what happened in 2006 when the 1701 was called for and reached, with Friends of Lebanon, I think it lacked a strong implementation mechanism. And what we're seeing now with the efforts of the U.S., France, and others, and the role that the Speaker of the Parliament, Mr. Berry, in coordination with the Prime Minister, I think the wording and the terms can be a promising starting point towards properly implementing that resolution.
And based on the statements made by Mr. Mikati today in the press conference, and also the images that we've seen in the Lebanese military actually entering parts in the southern region in Lebanon, you're optimistic about the implementation of 1701?
It's again the will of the official government of Lebanon is to see that resolution fully implemented. We think that by having the laugh of Lebanese army, having a reinforced presence in the region, we've always had the army there. We just needed more troops. We needed more military gear. We need to strengthen all this so the army has a physical, enforceable, and demanding and commanding presence, along with UNIFIL. So we're hoping that we can do that. And as we speak, we're slowly seeing new deployment of the army in that region, and it's gonna grow moving forward.
Okay, let me go to Mr. Dimitri now. Of course, I need to comment on the other side, how Israel views its current status during the ceasefire. But Netanyahu emphasized that the ceasefire allows Israel to focus on Iran. He stated three actually priorities and three reasons behind his acceptance to the ceasefire. Concerning Iran, the other thing was army logistics and challenges, and the third was the isolation of Hamas and Hezbollah challenges to Israel. But he did not really state that his purpose was to reach stability and peace in the coming weeks and the coming months. What do you think of that?
Netanyahu's is basically deflecting, and he's playing political games for a simple reason that no rational person can believe that the conflict with Hezbollah is not related to Iran, and having a ceasefire in Lebanon to have more time or have more focus on Iran is just does not make sense for anybody that has like 2 cents of worth of brains to rub together. This is one. So he is only deflecting. What Netanyahu actually did is a political game. One, the war on Lebanon and the bombing of Lebanon is not really of high value, politically speaking, for the Israeli street. Israeli society is hooked and focused on Gaza and the genocide in Gaza. He is willing, and he can see that he is willing to give up the war on Lebanon, the damage and the bombardment of Lebanon after causing certain level of damage to Hezbollah in return for the world to give him more space to continue his war in Gaza, because his political well-being and his political future is directly tied to the length of the war in Gaza. The longer he has time to commit more war crimes in Gaza, the more time he has to repair his image.
But he did state before that his purpose in Lebanon is to, according to what he said, end the threat from Hezbollah and the return of the Israelis to the northern settlements.
Well, so far, nobody's returning to the northern settlements. And this was very clear today by statements from the Israeli army, from Netanyahu's office himself. Nobody's returning anywhere until they are sure that things are under control and the Lebanese army took control over the area. But again, there are no guarantees that with escalating the conflict with Iran, like he's saying, that Iran would not double, triple, quadruple its efforts to rebuild Hezbollah at the expense of the Lebanese people at the end of the day. So there's no guarantee for that. So whatever he was saying, it does not make a lot of sense. He's just selling points. Going back to what I was saying, Netanyahu's goal is to have more time to gain support, and his strategy of prolonging the war crimes and the genocide in Gaza in return for popular support has been working. On October 8, 2023, Netanyahu's Likud party could hardly make 10 seats in the Knesset. Today, he's well over 24 and growing after actually this ceasefire agreement in Lebanon expected to grow. And this we will only see it sometime next week when the opinion polls come out next Sunday. So Netanyahu, what he's doing is he's playing this card. Plus, he is giving Trump a heads up that, okay, I'm listening to you. You said you want the war to be over, the wars to be over. I'm giving you Lebanon. So he is selling Lebanon to Trump to give him more leeway when it comes to Gaza. Internally, the coalition had only one voice objecting to the ceasefire in Lebanon. This is Itamar Ben-Gvir. And Itamar Ben-Gvir, at the end of the day, he has to say this because he represents the most fascist, craziest, racist, supremacist, genocidal.
Well, it wasn't just Ben-Gvir, it was also Smotrich. And perhaps there were also other disagreements inside Israel regarding the true purposes of the war on Lebanon. Isn't that true? Let me just go to Beirut and to Mr. Fadi once again, because we need to discuss what the Hezbollah situation is going to be. Now, how do you think the implementation of Security Council resolutions, including 1701 and 1559 and also 1680, could happen without actually Hezbollah being involved in implementing all these resolutions?
I think that the central government's position was very clear, and I think it represents most of the factions. So it was based on reaching 1701, and I see no problem with that. The issue of implementing 1559 and the other resolution, including Taif Accord, our so-called new constitution, we have not fully implemented. I think it has to. This is where you're going to have a new president with a new executive branch, convene the Lebanese leaders and try to work on a strategic defense
Mikati mentioned
initiative.
these
Yes,
issues, Mr. Fadi.
We've been talking about this for a long time. So what you need physically now is to have a president in place along with a new cabinet, and then they need to entertain the idea and try to come up with something, what we call the national strategy, a defense strategy. And for that to happen, you need to get all the Lebanese factions together, and they need to discuss the future of the arms and ammunitions outside the Lebanese army. There are certain technical points that need to be ironed out, but time is due for the Lebanese to sit down and decide on what they need to do.
What is the most important priority right now for all of that to happen? Because it's not just about the president, isn't it? There's political vacuum, there's vacuum in other positions in security institutions and in economics institutions. So it's not really just about the president, is it?
It's a package of things that we need to do at this point. I mean, we have so many economic and financial issues to begin with, starting since 2019 moving forward, and we haven't had a chance to work on all those challenges. So it starts with the and this is a priority that I think most Lebanese agree upon, is to elect a president. The speaker Nabi Berri promised that he will work on this issue, and hopefully within 60 days, the parliament can elect a president. And then after that, we look forward for a president that's going to have a good chemistry with the prime minister and members of the new cabinet. Mm-hmm. Because again, we have so many challenges ahead of us, some of them of political nature, and the others they're related to the economy and the social equity. And so we have lots of problems, but we need to have a strong executive branch in place.
Okay, Mr. Dimitri, in light of what Mr. Fadi is describing in the situation in Lebanon, what needs to happen and to take advantage of during the 60 days of the ceasefire, Netanyahu warned that the violation of the ceasefire by Hezbollah would result in a forceful response from Israel. What do you think this leaves room for in that matter? And do you think there could be a loophole in the agreement that Israel could take advantage of and disrupt what Lebanon would try to do?
I believe that both parties of the ceasefire, the Lebanese, that includes, of course, the government and Hezbollah on one hand, and Israel on the other hand, have an interest in stopping the battle over there on the northern borders of historic Palestine. For many reasons, I don't need to go and detail it, but again, it is very simple equation. He is giving up the war, destruction in Lebanon after he caused some serious damage to Hezbollah in order to retain his military presence and genocide in Gaza. So from Netanyahu's side, I don't think he is interested in going again at it with Hezbollah in Lebanon anytime soon. On the other hand, Hezbollah has suffered some serious blows, and I don't think that any rational person would undermine the level of atrocities that the Lebanese people, and this is a more important thing, have suffered, and Hezbollah as a leadership structure and military capabilities. And I do not give credit to many of the estimations, given percentages over the amount of damage that was caused to the military capabilities. But it is obvious that Hezbollah has suffered a great blow. So I don't think any of the parties are willing or have any interest in starting the fighting again, and ceasefire would happen. As far as Iran,
hang on. Let me just get something clear. You do not agree with Joe Biden saying that this could be an opportunity and this could open a door for more stability and a de-escalation in the region?
Well, Joe Biden, Genocide Joe, is just giving some PR statements here and there on his way out, trying to save his legacy, which will always be tarnished with the Palestinian children's blood and Lebanese people's blood. Joe Biden will always go down in history as the probably one of the.
But do you agree? Do you agree that any kind of advantage could be taken from the ceasefire to open doors for de-escalation in the region?
I am discrediting the statement that he made, and therefore there is no point of talking about or commenting on his statement if his statement is absolutely worthless. He cannot de-escalate the situation in the region while he is still arming Israel. He cannot de-escalate the situation in the region while he's protecting Israel, the genocidal state of Israel, on the world scene, especially with the United Nations Security Council. He cannot be wanting to de-escalate the situation here while he is also undermining the ICC and its decision to arrest war criminal Netanyahu and his former war minister Gallant. So from deep down inside, when you look at it, he is just given a PR statement that has to serve his legacy. He is not serious about it. If he is serious about it, he should announce, and he has the opportunity to announce today to stop arming Israel until it pulls out of Gaza and stop its genocide. If he does that, that means he's serious. Otherwise, it's all PR.
All right. Mr. Fadi, now, how do you comment on this? Because the U.S. is the guarantor of this ceasefire. It brokered the deal between Israel and Hezbollah. And for now, the statements made by U.S. officials claim that perhaps this could open the doors for de-escalation and stability in the region. What do you think of that? And also, do you agree with Mr. Dimitri?
Let me just, just go ahead and reiterate the same position that the 1701, provided it's fully implemented, and that can be an opportunity, absolutely. One of the key articles in the 1701 has to do with Lebanon's sovereignty and regaining the occupied territories and properties by Israelis. And for that to happen, that's going to be a major achievement for all Lebanese. And 1701 is a vehicle to get this challenge, achieved. We haven't had much success in the last 18 years, so we're hopeful, since the U.S. is committed, along with France and other friends of Lebanon, towards helping in achieving full implementation of 1701. So we stand at a good opportunity, at a good chance, and that's what we'd like to see. Now, on your guests' views and points, let me just take the whole issue in a different direction. I think the main tension that we see in this region, the wars that we have witnessed in this region, has to do with not giving the Palestinians their own state. So what we need to do, and this is what we try to stress in all of our talks, is to really work so hard on getting this two-state solution in a form or another. A goal
on
that
the premise
has to be achieved.
of the current ceasefire deal. Can
Yes,
that be achieved? That's the main question here.
Yeah, we're talking about de-escalation. De-escalation cannot happen unless we reach a two-state solution, and we get the Palestinian people their rights and homeland. And on the other side, also, we need to see more effort being done between the U.S. and Iran on the nuclear treaty. I think if we can work on those two and focus on those two, and the U.S. can focus on those two core issues, then we will see de-escalation, and then we will see some stability in this region.
All right, let me go to Mr. Dimitri for one last comment on. I'm trying to get some sort of optimistic comments from you on whether this ceasefire deal can actually not just achieve stability in the region, but actually lead to any kind of brokered deal in Gaza as well, Mr. Dimitri. Now, the Biden administration has brokered the current ceasefire deal. And of course, Donald Trump is coming next January. Do you think any kind of U.S. sponsored deal could happen before Trump comes into office, that it would include Gaza?
Well, everybody would hope so, but that it doesn't look like that's the way it's going to be. In from the appointments of Donald Trump for his next administration, especially when it comes to the Middle East, it doesn't show any signs of moderation. I mean, Joe Biden, as genocidal and Zionist as he is, he did not appoint people who are much aligned to the extreme fascist, supremacist Zionist right in Israel as Donald Trump. We are talking about an ambassador like Mike Huckabee, who is an ultra Zionist. And we're talking about Marco Rubio, a great friend of AIPAC. We're talking about Defense Department Secretary of Defense, who has stated on his Fox show that he is for war and he's for obliterating whoever disagrees with his ideology, which is far from peace and stability. So in other words, things do not look as optimistic as you would like me to say it is.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm out of time. That was Fadi Alama, the member of the Lebanese parliament from Beirut, and also Dimitri Diliani, a member of the Revolutionary Council of the Fatah movement and an expert in Israeli affairs. Thank you both for joining us at Qnews.